Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about something absolutely critical: the bright red lines that the law draws in the sand. These aren't just any lines. They're the boundaries designed to stop public officials from overstepping their authority and abusing their power. And we're not talking about abstract legal theories here. We're talking about the fundamental, bedrock rules that protect you, the individual, from the immense power of the state.
So here's the big question, right? When does a public official, someone acting with the full force of the law behind them, cross that red line? When does a legitimate arrest turn into a kidnapping by someone in a uniform? Or a necessary search of a home become a home invasion? It's a question that every free society has to answer with total, complete clarity. And believe it or not, the law gives us some very, very specific answers. So let's dive in and take a look. Okay, I want you to get a picture in your head. Don't think of these laws as some dusty, dense, boring rulebook. Instead, I want you to imagine a powerful, multi-layered shield, a legal shield. This shield isn't just one piece of metal. It's forged from different legal principles, each one crafted to protect your most essential freedoms. It's got layers to protect your liberty to move around, other layers to protect the sanctity of your home, and still others to guard your right to believe what you want and to gather with others. In this explainer, we are going to examine every single plate of armor on this shield, piece by piece.
All right, first up, let's look at the very core of this shield. This is the part that guards what is arguably our most basic right of all: the freedom to just be, the freedom to exist, to move through the world without being unjustly restrained. We're talking about physical liberty, and it is the absolute foundation of personal freedom. So, to protect this core freedom, the law uses a powerful metaphor: 3 specific locks on a door. Think of your liberty as being behind this door. The first lock, unlawful detention, is there to stop an official from just locking you up without any good reason. The second lock, unjust delays, is designed to prevent them from locking you up and then just throwing away the key. And the third, illegal expulsion, stops an official from kicking you out of your home, from banishing you. The key thing to remember is this: a public officer cannot legally turn any of these locks unless they have the one single correct legal key. Let's talk about that first lock, arbitrary detention, which is covered under Article 124. This happens when a public officer intentionally detains someone, but they don't have a legal ground to do it. The harm here is crystal clear, isn't it? It's the unlawful theft of a person's most precious asset, their liberty. So what exactly qualifies as a legal ground? What is this right key that an officer absolutely must have in their possession?
Well, the law is incredibly specific and leaves no room for guesswork. An officer only has the right to detain you under one of these 3 conditions. First, and this is the most obvious one, if you are actively committing a crime, have just committed one, or are clearly about to commit one. Second, in cases of violent insanity, where a person poses a clear and present danger to themselves or to other people. And third, certain other very specific ailments that legally require compulsory confinement, like, say, a public health quarantine order during an epidemic. Anything, and I want to be perfectly clear here, anything outside of these 3 very specific reasons is an officer acting without authority. It is an abuse of power. It is a crime.
And just look at how seriously the law takes this. The penalties aren't just a slap on the wrist. They escalate dramatically with time. If an officer illegally detains someone for over 6 months, they could be looking at 20 years in prison. The message from the law is absolutely unequivocal. The longer you steal someone's freedom, the more of your own freedom you stand to lose.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second. Let's imagine an officer does have a legal ground to make an arrest. They've used the right key, they've detained someone who was caught committing a crime. Does the law's protection just vanish? Not at all. In fact, the moment a legal detention begins, a whole new safeguard kicks into high gear. It's not about a lock and key anymore. Now, it's all about a ticking clock. And this is Article 125, which is a critical check on power, even when an arrest is perfectly lawful. An officer who detains someone is legally required to deliver them to the proper judicial authorities, basically a judge, before this timeline runs out. For minor offenses, what the law calls light offenses, they've got 12 hours. For more serious crimes with medium-length sentences or correctional offenses, the clock is 18 hours. And for the most severe crimes, those that carry long prison terms or afflictive penalties, they have a maximum of 36 hours. If an officer misses this deadline by even 1 minute, they have committed a crime. This ensures that nobody, no matter what they're accused of, just languishes in a jail cell without judicial oversight. Now, the legal shield we're talking about starts to build outwards. It expands from protecting your person to protecting your place.
and it has some incredibly powerful protections for the sanctity of your private space, your home. This is the legal embodiment of that age-old principle that everyone knows: your home is your castle.
This idea, stated so powerfully by William Pitt more than 250 years ago, isn't just some poetic notion. It is a fundamental legal principle that is baked into modern law. It means that the power of the state literally stops at your doorstep. A public official, no matter how important they are or what authority they have, can't just barge into your home. The law effectively builds a fortress wall around your dwelling. Now, the law recognizes two main ways an official can illegally breach this fortress wall. The first, under Article 128, is basically a frontal assault, trying to get in without the proper key, that is, a judicial order or a warrant. The second way, under Article 129, is a bit more sneaky. It's about abusing the key you were legally given. This could mean getting a warrant based on false information, or maybe it means using that legal warrant to smash down the door with excessive force when a simple knock would have done the job. Both are serious violations of your rights. So let's look a little closer at Article 128, the violation of domicile. This crime is committed by a public officer who knowingly, and that's a key word, enters a home without a court order and against the owner's explicit will. But it's actually broader than just walking through the door. It also includes searching through your papers and belongings without your permission, or even just refusing to leave after you've told them to get out. And the law takes this even more seriously, with a higher penalty if it's done at night, a time when our sense of vulnerability and security is at its absolute peak.
Now, this is a really crucial point. A search warrant is not a blank check. It does not give an officer unlimited power to do whatever they want inside your home. The law is smart. It understands that even with a legal reason to enter, the potential for abuse is still incredibly high. So what does it do? It builds in very specific procedural guardrails to keep that power in check.
And this is Article 130. It's a vital check on power during a search. To prevent things like planting evidence or theft, the law demands that a legal search cannot be done in secret. It has to be witnessed. The first choice for a witness is you, the owner of the home. If you're not there, then it has to be a member of your family. And if no family members are around, the officers must find 2 independent residents from your neighborhood to observe everything they do. Here's the kicker. Conducting an otherwise lawful search without these witnesses is a crime in and of itself. It is a bright-line rule designed to ensure transparency and accountability.
So, the legal shield we've been looking at doesn't just protect us as isolated individuals living alone in our castles. It also extends to protect our rights to come together, to speak as a group, to form associations, and to practice our beliefs collectively. These are the absolute cornerstones of a healthy, vibrant civil society.
Let's use an example. Imagine you and your neighbors are completely fed up with the giant potholes on your street, so you organize a peaceful meeting in a local park to plan a petition. Well, Article 131 is the law that protects your right to have that meeting. It makes it a crime for any public official to prohibit, interrupt, or break up that meeting unless they have a clear, valid legal reason to do so, like if violence is about to break out. They can't just shut you down because they don't like what you're complaining about.
And this law's protection is incredibly broad. It covers the entire spectrum of civic engagement. It lets you hold a peaceful meeting. It lets you form a lawful association like the Neighborhood Pothole Action Group. It protects your right to attend the meetings of that group. And, crucially, it protects the final, most important step, your right to take your petition to the authorities and demand action. Any official who gets in the way of these lawful, peaceful actions is breaking the law.
Finally, the shield provides really strong protection for freedom of religion, and it does it through 2 distinct but related articles. On the left, you have Article 132. This one is aimed squarely at public officials. It makes it a crime for an officer to prevent or disturb a religious ceremony. Then, on the right, you have Article 133, which applies to any person, not just officials. This law makes it a crime to perform acts that are notoriously offensive to believers, but, and this is a key distinction, only if it happens inside a place of worship or during a religious ceremony. So you see, one law holds state power in check, while the other protects the actual sanctity of religious practice from public disrespect. So what's the big takeaway here? The crucial point is this. These articles, these rules, they aren't just obscure technicalities for lawyers to argue about in a courtroom. They are the very architecture of our freedom. They are the clear, bright red lines that separate a society governed by law from one governed by the whims and moods of those in power.
We've just walked through 10 specific articles of the law. 10 distinct, solid plates of armor on that legal shield we talked about. Each one has been meticulously designed and forged to defend a critical aspect of your liberty, from your freedom of movement and the privacy of your home, all the way to your right to speak your mind and to believe in what you choose. Together, they form a powerful, powerful barrier against the overreach of authority.
And that's what you should really take away from this, because a shield, no matter how strong, is completely useless if it's just left lying on the ground. These laws exist on paper, but their true power comes from citizens who actually know their rights, who understand where those red lines are drawn, and from a system that is willing and able to hold power accountable when those lines get crossed. The shield is strong, but it requires all of us to hold it up. Thank you for joining this explainer.